Hello VC, Michael, Clash City Rocker, with a video this week on honky tonk music, which is a genre I love, and apparently I've loved pretty much my entire musical listening life, but I can't profess that I know a ton about it. But there's been a few songs over the last few weeks that have been haunting me, kind of like earworms that keep going more and more around in my head, and I can't escape it. And then my last video, I talked about my trip to Austin for the Austin Record Convention, which was my first ever foray to a record convention. And I had mixed feelings about it, but I did get some records, and some of the ones that I'm going to share with you tonight are honky tonk records, according to Discogs, which is another conversation as well. But before I begin, I realize I've been making a ton of videos this year, the first year of ever making videos. Again, I'm Michael. I call myself Clash City Rocker. It's my first band I truly loved. And my goal is to connect with the VC. And I know a lot of people make videos and have large channels in between channels or very small channels like mine. But my goal is to make connections, for you to comment, for me to reach out, for us to begin a dialogue. So if you like my videos, like, subscribe, contact me. Tell me what I know and what I don't know about honky tonk music. So, one of my first videos I ever made, and I kind of regretted it as soon as I made it, was what is country music and what is not. And clearly, I'm not an expert, and I shouldn't be making those determinations. But there are certain sounds that have resonated with me my entire life. I've talked about my love of dub reggae. There's just certain things that I just know they've like hit me to my core, and they're like my musical identity. And one of which is country music, which apparently a lot of the country I like is within a subgenre of country known as honky tonk music. And everyone knows this record, and the reason I'm showing this is an 80s Polygram reissue of Moanin' the Blues, but this is the first Hank Williams record I ever owned. And it's got killer tracks on it. In fact, 8 of them have the word blues in it, which is probably why I bought it. Low Down Blues, Weary Blues, Moanin' the Blues, Honky Tonk Blues, Lovesick Blues, Long Gone Lonesome Blues, and The Blues Come Around. But Honky Tonk Blues is probably the first honky tonk song that I ever listened to, and I love it. And then in the 80s, all of a sudden, this guy came around, and I guess they were part of the new traditionalism moment, and I heard Honky Tonk Man for the very first time. And part of it was Pete Anderson's guitar playing, and the fact that Dwight Yoakam looks incredibly cool. And I was like, holy moly, I can't believe music like this exists. And it resonated with me, and I couldn't shake it, and I became obsessed with Dwight Yoakam. And there's some great tracks on here. Honky Tonk Man, It Won't Hurt, I'll Be Gone, South of Cincinnati. But so you got Honky Tonk Man. So 2 artists I loved. You got Honky Tonk Blues, you got Honky Tonk Man. I'm starting to recognize the pattern. And then the earworm I can't get out of my head is Webb Price's Honky Tonk Song, which is actually a Mel Tillis song about how he's in a cheap motel and he can't sleep because the honky tonk band is playing honky tonk music all night long, and they're playing the same old honky tonk beat and the honky tonk, and he can't get it out of his head. And I just love this track. And it kind of remembered my first night in Austin, where there was an extremely mediocre hard rock band cranking, and I had to cover my head with a pillow. But so anyways, I realized that I love honky tonk music. So where are we at? We got Honky Tonk Blues, we got Honky Tonk Man, and then we got Honky Tonk Song. And while I was in Austin, there's a country person who was originally in a band called the Flatlanders with Joe Eli and Guy Clark and Bruce Hancock. I believe that's the foursome. Jimmy Dale Gilmore. And the first track off of here is Honky Tonk Masquerade. So we now have 4 separate honky tonk songs. So I did a little digging. I went to my Discogs, and of the records that I have cataloged, I put in honky tonk music, or just honky tonk, And it kicked out a bunch of pages of records that I own of artists who are considered honky-tonk artists and songs that have honky-tonk in it. So we'll talk about that. And then my background is academics. I do research. And so I did a search, AI search on honky-tonk music and talked about it. And some of the artists that they mention as being pivotal for honky-tonk music are some of the ones I love. Hank Williams, Ernest Tubb, Lefty Frizzell, George Jones, Merle Haggard, and Patsy Cline. And they consider Hank Williams, Ernest Tubb, and Lefty Frizzell to be like the godfathers of honky-tonk music. And then it was interesting because on that same Discogs page, it was like most collected honky-tonk music. They show guitar, with some of the records that I'm going to show you in this pile, and then honky-tonk artists, some as well. So, Michael Flaherty, Clash City Rocker. Here is my honky-tonk music collection. If I'm missing something that I need to hear, my ears are always open. That's why I love music, is to be turned on to new genres. So I'm going to go through them relatively quick. Highly recommend these Hank Williams compilations that came out from Polydor Records. I think there's 7 of them. I picked up 3 more in Austin. And there it is, side 2, Honky Tonk Music, or Honky Tonkin', somewhere in between December 46 and August 1947. So this has got to be one of the first honky tonk songs. So Hank Williams, Honky Tonkin', written by Hank Williams. And then later, I think this was one of his last recordings, Honky Tonk Blues, another Hank Williams song. There he is in all his splendor. And then I love me some Lefty Frizzell. These records are not easy to find. I have to say, this one is one I picked up in Austin, so I wanted to share it with you all. There's some great songs on Shine, Shave, Shower, It's Saturday. How Long Will It Take to Stop Loving You? Run 'Em Off, which is a great one. If You Can Spare the Time. God, I used to sing that all the time. So, Lefty Frizzell, brilliant honky-tonk artist. And then the other one that they were talking about as being one of the pivotal people, there's that Honky Tonk Man song that Dwight Yoakam did. Here's the original. There's Johnny Horton. And on the beautiful Columbia 6i. So Honky Tonk Man, Johnny Horton, the original. And then I love me some Ernest Tubb. This is Ernest Tubb and his Texas Troubadours. And all this got, of course, Yellow Rose of Texas. But the song that was my theme song for so many, many years of my life was Driving Nails in My Coffin. I love that song. That's such a great song. His voice is a little bit kind of an acquired taste for some people who aren't really deeply into this genre, but I love Ernest Tubb. Another singer, writer of honky tonk music. He's on wrote a couple of songs that are in this pile here. Hank Thompson, Realize It, 6 Days on the Road. Of course, we all know that through Graham Parsons. Moving on. Awesome. And one of the things that I've been buying lately, I've been picking up these 1950s, 1960s Capitol country compilations. They had so many great artists. A lot of them honky tonk. So Lubin Brothers, Tommy Collins, Freddie Hart, Ferlin Husky, Wanda Jackson, Skeets McDonald, Gene Shepard again with Ferlin Husky, Farron Young, Hank Thompson, Wynn Stewart, and Gene Shepard. But there's such great, great songs. I love Farron Young's Going Steady. But beautiful mono, Capitol, pristine. I'm a huge Merle Haggard fan. Mono version of this in The Shrink. I'm a Lonesome Fugitive. Another person who's considered in that honky-tonk genre. Love. And the one Merle song that actually has the word honky-tonk in it is, I only have on this compilation, where is it? Honky Tonk Nighttime Man. This was the first Merle record I ever got. I had it on cassette. But this 2-record set, if you can find it, it's on Capitol, EMI, 73, 74, 77. but it has all of his great tracks from the 60s on it, plus some of the early 70s stuff. So Honky Tonk, Honky Tonk Nighttime Man. Another person came up in that search that they say is a honky tonk artist, Buck Owens. And his Buckaroos, I love this. There they are outside of Carnegie Hall in their beautiful suits. But, you know, like there's a medley. Fooling Around, Hello Trouble, Truck Driving Man. Great honky tonk music. And then, of course, the king, my favorite vocalist probably of all time, George Jones. This is another compilation, but this is the one that comes up on my Discogs honky tonk search. This is all of his CBS and Epic sides, which are really hard to find, by the way, his records. And when I went to Austin, I found one beat up copy of Alone Again. So me being me, I of course have to find them. So I've been avoiding Discogs. Back to eBay. Got this, George Jones, his first solo album on Epic, yellow label, in the shrink. And then this one came today. Many consider this his greatest. CBS Epic one, the Grand Tour. Love this cover. Brilliant cover. Another honky tonk artist that comes up. This is where I got myself in trouble when I was deciding what was country music and what wasn't. But wow, there was a song, again, another one. He's on the beautiful Columbia 6i. And on here, Honky Tonk Girl, which is a Hank Thompson song. So honky tonk represented. And I don't have Honky Tonk Heroes by Waylon. I've seen it, reissues. I want an original. I want to buy it in the wild. I don't want to order one from Discogs. But there you go, the Outlaws. And this has Honky Tonk Heroes on it. The cut from that record. My dad had this. This is actually his copy. This was the country music my dad loved, Waylon and Willie. I do love both those artists. I'm a little bit deeper, a little more country. Of course, Kitty Wells. I love this. It wasn't God who made Honky Tonk Angels. I mean, come on. If you heard it, you know it, you love it. I love this collection. My all-time love is Wanda Jackson. Another honky tonk artist. This is another beautiful, pristine copy in the shrink. Many, many, many great songs. Hank Williams' songs on here. Ernest Tubb, Jimmy Rogers, Roy Acuff, Tex Ritter, who sometimes we kind of dismiss, but we really shouldn't. And Hank Williams, a great Wanda Jackson record. Another beautiful Capitol release. When I did my Discogs search of honky tonk artists, it mentioned this Tammy Wynette record. I don't know why this one of all of them, but there she is, Divorc. But this is my favorite, Tammy Wynette. Still all-time favorite, hers. Apartment Number 9, I love. And another one that came up with that search is Loretta Lynn, Don't Come Home and Drinking. Love It On Your Mind. I love this one. This is another one that's in shrink, but there you can see it's got the Kmart price tag. MCA Records. Such a great record. And then another two more modern honky tonk female artists, Emmylou and her hot band. This is a live record, but they kind of like kick it out. We'll Sleep Out the Ashes, Juanita, Devil in Disguise, Lost His Love, and then Buckaroo, Love's Gonna Live Here. Great honky tonk band. And I don't know why Katie Ling doesn't get more love. Here she is on the Owen Bradley sessions with Owen Bradley, but it's this last track, Honky Tonk Angels medley. Her version of Blues Stay Away From Me. Oh my gosh. Has to be one of the greatest vocal performances of all time. And then staying in the 80s, again, another Jimmy Dale. This time he leads off with a honky tonk song. That Mel Tillis one that I was just talking to you about how it won't stop. In fact, that's probably where I heard it first, and I just can't shake it from my head. Speaking of Honky Tonk Masquerade, I got this one in Austin as well. Joe Eli. and it's on this record. Be Inside too. And then his great live one, which I swear had the Clash on it. I know he toured with the Clash in '79, I think. But this is a great one. Fingernails. Keep my fingernails long so they click when I play the piano. And Honky Tonkin' is on here as well. This is the one that comes with the little promo. 45. I love the cover of this. Very punk rock. And then I love me some Steve Earle. He came up with the honky tonk artist as well. His first album, Guitar Town. And this one has got Hillbilly Highway on it, which is speaking of but I thought it had a song that actually said honky tonk in it, but I guess it doesn't. And then again, Dwight. The reason I'm holding up this one is I know for Record Store Day, the box set with his later 3 reprise records. This was not issued in the States. This is a German reprise version of it. This is going to be in that box set. So I am unfortunately going to Record Store Day because I need those other 2 Dwight records. And the only way I'm going to get them is in that box set. Another guy we forget about, Randy Travis. In fact, his first 2 albums, this one and Storms of Life and Old 97, both have a honky tonk song on it. This one's got There'll Always Be a Honky Tonk Somewhere. Love his voice. And then into the 90s, one of my last favorites, Alan Jackson. Just love him. So all those honky tonk artists, and then the last 2, of course, Graham, Burritos, many Honky Tonk Women is the honky tonk song on here, but he qualifies. And then this great 3 record set, which you can find for a couple dollars almost in every record store, it's got a bunch of the original country and bluegrass songs on it. Sorry, can't remember which ones there were, but Honky Tonk Blues and one more. There's 2 honky tonk songs on here. Great one. And then 2 funny honky tonk ones. Many of you are kind of sitting in front of some Stones records. Remember this? Through the Past Darkly. Rolling Stones, their second greatest hits compilation. Look at the crazy hexagon. It's got honky tonk women. And then, who knew? Huey Lewis and the News. The last track on here is Hank Williams, Honky Tonk Blues. So Michael, Clash City Rocker, again, I just love country music. I particularly like honky tonk music. Don't know a ton about it. Make comments, make recommendations. What am I missing? What should I listen to? Or do I have a pretty decent start on my honky tonk collection? Peace.